to the King James Version, where my friends Alan and Adam recount Bible stories from their childhoods to me. I'm Nick. I've never heard them before.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Adam.
So this week marks our first parable.
Parabolas.
Which is a story, a moral story that Jesus tells.
Okay.
Yeah, these are basically Aesop's fables, but from Jesus.
Huh.
And like Aesop, he doesn't explain the meaning ever.
I guess I thought there would be more of these, or even maybe I would have been, as the titular virgin, duped into thinking that everything that we'd done were parables.
Well, I mean, they very well might be. If a parable is an untrue story meant to have a moral.
Yeah. So is this
reason. These are parables with a capital P. What we've done up to this point is lowercase p.
It's parable inception. So this is a parable inside of a parable.
Okay.
Or a parable turducken.
Jesus is telling us these parables, so they're not necessarily involving him. They're his stories.
I feel like the concept of a turducken is a parable in itself as like a thing not to do. Like it's such a ridiculous concept. It's like, now kids, don't do this.
Yeah. It also, turduckens too, like, am I the only one who thinks that ducks and chickens are too close to the same size to make it physically possible? He feels like you should do like chicken and like a squab would make more sense.
Squab?
Squab.
What the fuck is a squab?
It's a pigeon.
It's a quail.
Okay.
It's a pigeon.
Pigeon.
Whoop. Fight.
Quail would work too.
Quail would work too.
Inside the chicken.
Either of them make sense because the duck is just too big.
Chicka. That's nice.
Or
chicken. Turkey, chicken, quail.
Tersquatcha?
No, the squat would be inside the chicken.
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah, squat. No,
it doesn't work.
Good.
Anyway, Nick.
Yes, that's me.
I don't know why I'm taking point on this, but Nick, what do you know about any of the parables of Jesus? Actually, here.
Well, obviously nothing. I would have said that Noah is a parable.
Well, let's instead, what do you know about the prodigal son? Does that mean anything to you?
Again, just phraseology. Prodigal son returns. I don't know who that guy is. Okay. Capital P, capital S.
But you have heard it in that context.
But sure, yeah, like
he comes back.
Yeah,
that's what you know. What you know about the son is he comes back.
Uh-huh.
Would you like a sampling of musicians who have done songs by the name Prodigal Son? Or would you like me to save that for the end?
I mean, there's going to be tons, right?
I think you should tease it. I think it's a thing that you should tease, and we'll come back to it.
Give us a taste now. Give us one now.
Ted Nugent. Has a song called Prodigal Son.
I was going to go like Michael W. Smith.
No. There are.
There's got to be a Michael
The
W.
Barlow
Smith.
Girls are on here.
Really?
But Rolling Stones.
Barlow Girls were the Veruca Salt of the Christian world.
Okay.
I think we'll continue this list later.
Yeah.
Great.
So, Prodigal Son. I do not know the context in which Jesus was telling this. I don't know where he was. I don't know who he was talking to. So I don't know, Alan, if that matters at all.
He's talking to a large group of people. There are Pharisees listening.
Okay.
And getting pissed as per usual.
That's their thing.
It is almost all of Luke 15.
Okay. The gist of the prodigal son is there is a man who is quite wealthy. He has two sons. The younger of the two is basically dissatisfied with life and goes to his dad and says, I want my birthright which has been predetermined to be half of his estate. Mm-hmm. And so his father goes...
More hot birthright action.
More hot birthright action.
James Virgin.
It is interesting that, in previous stories that we've covered birthright, it just all goes to the oldest son.
Right. This is...
The younger son gets 50%.
Presumably this is...
I think that's just for the point of the story.
Or it's progress. Maybe by the time we get to Jesus' time,
it's probably just the point of the story.
Like we split the inheritance between people. Anyway, the father then sells half of this stuff essentially and like writes him a check for the half of his estate. Mm-hmm. The son goes, all right, I'm out of here, and moves to the city.
Actually, a different country.
Oh, leaves the country. He moves to, I'm going to say he moves to Ibiza because,
yeah, that's in the Bible.
Yeah. Well, like, I'm just saying that because like he basically parties and like lives a lavish lifestyle.
Everybody was chuckling when Jesus did that.
Yeah. Oh, Ibiza. Yes. And he goes and just like blows all the money on hookers and blow.
That actually tracks. It says loose living and it later says prostitutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe hookers and mandrake, given that we have precedent for that. Mm-hmm. So he does that. And then there's like a recession immediately.
A famine.
Whoopsie.
Recession. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brexit happens. And so this prodigal son basically runs out of money. Everything is bad. And he ends up being like keeping pigs for somebody, right?
He becomes an indentured servant, like a worker for a pig farm.
Right.
Which would be like the lowest for a Jewish person.
Okay.
Right. Given the relationship with pork. And,
Yes.
And so at some point he looks at what he's feeding to the pigs and is jealous of what the pigs are getting.
Side note, carob pods.
No. Nick, do you know anything about carob as a just, I don't know if this is a thing outside of Christianity.
Well, I was going to say,
Or maybe even,
It's a health food store thing.
Yeah, it's hippie chocolate.
Yep.
right. There is a small like contingent of Christians who like have a health message attached to their denomination.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where my mom tried to sell us on the idea that carob was just as good as chocolate, which is horseshit.
Yeah.
And
I could see you like gagging just recalling it.
it wasn't gagging. I was livid.
I like carob, but it's not chocolate.
You like shitty, chalky nothing?
Well, no, I think carob is good in its own right, but it's like calling
It's like dry raisins.
but it's like calling a veggie burger a burger. Like just they're different things. That's fine.
Which, by the
Oh,
way,
you're one of these patent people who's like, it's not a burger, it's not milk. Can't call it that.
I actually am on the milk one.
Okay.
I'm not.
I think they should have to call it nut juice just because I find that so funny.
I am on for the humor side of it.
Yeah.
That being said, I think it does like fall into like colloquialism. Like we have defined what milk is. I'm
Burger
team
seems
milk.
more like a preparation.
Finally, we're tackling the big issues here on the podcast.
I disagree. Patty is preparation. Hamburger is specifically beef.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's my. So I think we should like.
You're here.
Anyway, actually, we had the Beyond Meat patty for the first time this week. It's. I'm reserving judgment for Impossible Meats, but it's not. I could tell it was like the best veggie burger I'd ever had.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there for anybody. Anyway, so they were eating carob pods. The pigs were.
Correct. Which from
Were they told it was chocolate?
Pigs are just pissed.
well, so the whole thing is he's looking at what the pigs are eating and being like considering eating it,
Right.
But can't because humans can't digest
Carob pods?
the pods,
That's hilarious.
and so
And as we all know,
that's why he was saying he would gladly eat what they were eating, but
couldn't. Oh, see, I didn't know
Physically
that.
could not.
In my recollection of the story, like he was just lusting after this food. Like it was better than what he was getting.
Sure.
it says, and he would have gladly filled his stomach with the pods that the swine were eating, and no one was giving him anything.
Yeah.
Like as if maybe he was begging.
Right. But he eventually, and I know that there's a speech here because he has a very specific thing that he says, but essentially it's even the servants of my father get fed better. Oh, don't they have like bread for days or something like that?
How many of my father's hired men have more than enough bread?
Yes.
But I am dying here with hunger.
Right. So he's like, screw this. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm just going to go back to my dad and ask him if I can be a work hand on his farm because at least I'd be fed well.
Sure.
And presumably that's because the famine hasn't reached his country.
He could just ask to become a pig. We have precedent for that. I mean, not specifically the
humans,
pig, but,
right? But
you know,
and Jesus is telling the story. He could have transmitted. Yeah, he didn't, unfortunately. And so he goes home, and as he's walking towards his father's farm, his dad sees him and comes running out to him.
Well, first of all, as he's walking towards the farm, he's rehearsing his speech.
Right. Because he has this whole thing like,
Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired men. Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight.
Does he repeat it?
No, but I assume he's practicing it.
Father,
Yeah. Father.
Minnesota Mountie Pig. What were you saying earlier?
I don't Minnesota Mumblebees.
Mumblebees. Minnesota Mumblebees.
Minnesota.
Father, I
can't-
have sinned.
This is so weird. This is going to be the promo.
You can't say that.
It's true. So anyway, before he can even get to the farm, dad comes running out and the kid's like about to like jump into his father. And before he can get anything out, dad like bear hugs him and like kid can't speak. And the dad like
He does get out his speech.
Does he? I thought he wasn't able to get the speech out.
Like half of it.
Okay. He gets part of the speech
He's
out.
being embraced and kissed.
Right. And so the dad then goes like, calls a bunch of servants to bring like a robe and some jewelry.
2 out of 3.
And and slaughter the fatted calf.
Okay. 3 out of 4.
Okay. What's the fourth?
Sandals.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Apparently slaves didn't wear sandals. And so by putting sandals on him, he was like saying like, you are my son.
Yeah.
Right.
Come chill.
Right. And so they like, we're going to throw a party. So cut to a couple hours later, party's mid swing, and older brother who has been out working this entire time. He's basically like the older sibling has been running the farm since dad's basically retired. And he comes in and he's pissed, and he like pulls his dad aside and is like, what the hell? Like,
Opposite. So he asked a servant, like, what the hell's going on? And they said, your brother's come home. They've killed the fatted calf. And so he just keeps working, and his dad comes out to plead with him to come join the party.
oh, okay. And older brother's pissed, like basically like, how dare you take him back? He squandered everything that you gave him. Like the farm is half of what it could have been had he just like hung around. And dad basically says, what was I supposed to do? Plus everything that I still have is yours. Like, come and like be happy that your brother's back is essentially the gist of the story.
And he doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't.
No.
Like he's like he like is stubborn and doesn't come back in.
Yeah, he's just full of righteous indignation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It ends with the father saying, son, you've always been with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, for this brother of yours was dead, and he has begun to live. He was lost and has been found.
See, and again, like the cartoon that we keep referencing, like then they like dad puts his arm around him and they walk into the party. That's not in there.
No, he's so upset that he misses out on the party, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I will say, earlier today, before I read this, I was not looking forward to it because this story has always pissed me off. And it turns out I was wrong because of...
You're wrong that it didn't piss you off, or wrong interpretation?
Both. So this is one of those things that may have been something that I either misheard in church or was maybe told in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
However, my wife agrees with me, so she remembers it the same way. So we hated this story because in our minds, when the brother who squandered everything comes back, he's given like more inheritance.
Or shit. Oh, interesting.
And so in our minds, we're like, yeah, we're with the older brother in this. Like, that's horseshit.
You guys are conflating the story of when they go and get people to work in the fields and they're all getting paid the same amount?
Right. No, I mean, I definitely know that story. But yeah, in both of our minds, we remember him increasing his wealth or getting a new inheritance or something. And
right.
So
do you think that was actually added in your education?
I'm not sure. It could be like Adam, thinking that King Xerxes' wife was made to come and dance nude. Like those little, those little
but
details.
It's interesting that both of us definitely
thought that. And so I read it 5 or 6 times. It's not very long today. And I read some external commentary, and he comes back and his dad embraces him and throws him a party. And like,
but that's it.
He kills the fatted calf that they've been saving for a special occasion.
Yeah.
But like now as an adult coming back to the story, I empathize with the father and actually think that this is, as a younger person, I thought this was a story about the prodigal son because it's called The Prodigal Son.
Sure.
When in reality, it's kind of a story about the father being a version of like God,
right,
and like his grace and pursuing both sons to come join him in the party. And so now as I've reread it, I'm like, I still don't like this story, but I don't hate it at all. I can't hate it now that I understand it.
Right
now, maybe also this was just told to me, and this is the first time that I've read it.
So biblically, when this story ends unsatisfyingly, in my opinion, I don't like this story. We wipe back to Jesus and then he says something, or is that
wipe
just
back and he just like doesn't say anything? Like he specifically just like lets the story drop and then like
Jesus never explains the parables.
Okay.
I mean, what he's saying is,
well, what we assume he's saying, our interpretation.
Yes.
I mean,
and totally. And other biblical scholars, they're saying that like the proud brother who stayed is the Pharisees, just concerned about like the legalism of it. But also saying that like, it doesn't matter what you've done, you can be saved and join the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
But before this, so all of chapter 15 is actually 3 parables. And this is the last one. So the first one is about a shepherd who had 100 sheep and lost one and left the 99 in their pen, presumably. And
I don't think so. I think it's actually, doesn't it say like in the wild?
I don't think so. I think he penned them up. I can go back and read it, but I don't want to. But the point is he like searched and searched for the one sheep, even though he had 99.
Yeah.
He wanted that one sheep. And then when he found
Celebrates.
it, he brought in the whole town to celebrate.
And presumably killed that sheep to feed them all.
Well, not yet.
That's not,
Well, maybe. And then the next story is a woman who had 10 silver coins and lost one and turned the house over, lit a lamp, swept. And when she found the coin, invited her neighbors to party and celebrate. And so
It's got a running theme here.
exactly.
But these 2 stories were told, and I get the impression that like he's telling these stories and people are just looking at him like completely blank. And so he keeps like up in the ante. He's like, don't you get it that when you get something valuable back, you should celebrate.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of nice. He's doing that, rule.
Invite me over to your house more,
Yes.
please.
I will find your
Feed
lost
me.
coins.
Yeah.
But he's doing that rule of 3 thing where he's making
right.
the point 3 times. Though in the first one, the God figure is actively pursuing, whereas in the prodigal son, the God figure is there
Just let him go.
waiting.
Let him go.
And so I really like wanted to hate this, and I don't, which is interesting to me.
I'll take over that hate for you. How about that?
Do you just hate it because it's like, well, that exists.
That was just very unsatisfying to me. I'm like, next.
All right.
Which is funny. It's hard to convey like these little stories were still very important.
Yeah.
Because this is like,
Well, and this is
direct word of Jesus.
This is also a touch point for like any time somebody who left the church and then came back to the church. This story was a touch point for going. This is the prodigal son returning is specifically about like we are celebrating that this person was quote unquote lost.
Right.
My guess is this is also a very important trio of stories for something like AA.
Yeah.
Like those mission driven things.
Sure.
Yeah. Anytime you'd fallen off the wagon, which is an AA reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's a bad fable. Like it's not a great one.
It's fine. What's interesting is Buddhism has a very close version of this exact fable. Like it's got the same beats. And it was way, way earlier, written down. But when the son comes back, he doesn't recognize his father and actually gets employment. His father recognizes him, which I don't really know how that works.
Sure.
But he gets employment and the father keeps promoting him to like higher and higher positions in hopes that he'll be like,
Hey,
oh, you're my dad. and finally, does tell him. But
that is a weirder story because
it is.
People from 40 to 60 look relatively similar versus.
Yeah. But it's also just interesting that, this story is in a lot of cultures.
Sure.
But it's very similar.
Well, and you didn't say any names, so it could be easily lifted and adapted.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And this, hell if I know. This could be like a common thing.
Also, Jesus is telling a story. He's not saying that it's like an original story.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like this could be like a Shakespeare thing where like he's just regurgitating common things and adding his own flair to it.
Yeah. The fact that it was written down by...
Maybe he's doing this
source.
show. When I was a kid, I had these cartoons. I'm going to tell you about it.
Actually, not really that at all. But when I was in high school, I think it was another one of those things where like a substitute teacher or something, and we watched this short film. It was a silent film, shot in it feels like 70s or 80s, but this was shot. It was shot as if like the Prodigal Son. It was a modern take in.
Oh, there was one in the 50s.
Oh, okay. This is the one I saw is definitely 70s or 80s, just like based on haircuts and styles. But it's a child who's like 5 or 6. And I don't remember a lot, but like leaves his parents. And all I vaguely remember is like this kid trading in his shoes and socks for ice cream. And then like it'd be it's kind of montage shot with like music playing over it. And the kid like just like sitting on the street in New York, just bawling. And I remember like it was one of those first pieces where I was like, somebody shot this, and they made that child cry somehow.
Yeah.
Like maybe they just gave him too much sugar, and then it was a natural chain of things. They shot it.
Took his shoes and socks, presumably.
Right. But they put a child on the street and shot like for a biblical message. And I just remember feeling like this feels irresponsible to do to children as, a 14-year-old.
Well, maybe he was a standout Haley Joel Osment child actor type.
Could be. Maybe it was, who's that
Maybe
kid?
it was Haley Joel Osment.
It was Haley Joel Osment before he was born.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, who's that kid that was Ricky... Shit.
Ricky Shit.
Ricky Shit.
Actor.
No, there was a child actor. He was like the Haley Joel Osment of the 70s and 80s. Oh, he was in Little Lord Fauntleroy and like a bunch of sitcoms.
Oh, Schroeder. Rick Schroeder.
Yes, Ricky Schroeder.
Wow. I actually don't know how I knew that.
Pull that out of your ass. Anyway,
so there was a Prodigal Son in 1981, but I think it's Chinese.
Oh, maybe that's the Buddhist version.
Man, there's a lot of short films.
I honestly, you'll know. I doubt you'll ever be able to find it.
Wikipedia referenced one in the 50s. Oh, it looks like there's a short in 1939. Good God. It's episodes of TV. That's why there's so many results.
Yeah.
Well, this is excruciating. Let's take a break here on the King James Virgin. And we're back here on the King James Virgin.
So some musicians who have songs either named or themed of the Prodigal Son.
With the ball, the bang, diggy, diggy, diggy.
As you may have guessed, Detroit musician Kid Rock recorded a song titled...
Can we call Kid Rock a musician?
Prodigal Son in 1993.
Whoa. That's
pre-Bible.
Re-recorded it.
Yes. That's BC.
One of the most famous ones is Rolling Stones from their 1968 album.
Right.
The Osmonds presented a version of the parable in their 1973 hit song Let Me In from their Mormon Concept album, which I don't know what that means at all, if they're Mormon.
That's a trip.
Iron Maiden has a song.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Skipping things I don't know.
It's actually the Prodigal Bat.
Barlow Girl, which Adam knows. Seven Dust. Bad Religion.
Is Seven Dust a Christian band?
Extreme.
Okay. Yeah.
Of More Than Words fame.
Yeah. So one of my friends, when we lived in California, was a massive Extreme fan and was pissed that More Than Words was the thing that Extreme was known for. And he's right. Most of their catalog sounds nothing like that. It's more like funk rock, but it's just funny.
House of Pain.
Wait, like the Jump Around?
They reference it in Jump Around, apparently. Alt J. Christian band Sidewalk Prophets. Ugh.
That's a bad name.
That's such a bad name. Anyway, and many more.
Huh.
I have a bone to pick.
Oh.
The bone to pick is that carob pods are indeed edible.
What?
There's a flaw in this story.
Well, it's not the Bible. It's the commentary presented in this version of the Bible I have. The Bible just says the pods.
Okay, so carob pods are mildly sweet on their own.
Okay.
Used in powdered chip or syrup form.
Wait, so the actual carob chips are the pods?
So, yeah.
Wait, so in a carob pod, are there like peas?
There are seeds.
Peas? Oh, seeds.
The pod is like pulp, like 90%, and seeds 10%. So when we think of eating carob, you are eating the pod.
The part that is theoretically inedible.
The part that this little baby's whining about.
I will say, in my experience, inedible. Right. But not for the reason.
Yeah, you have your own.
So maybe he just...
I have a bone to pick with your bone.
And a traditional sweet eaten during the Christian holidays of Lent and Good Friday is made from carob pods.
This I did read that this story was told. This parable was told at like the end of Lent, for some reason.
So these a-holes like wrote in here. What the hell?
So you'll need to take that up with the MacArthur Study Bible.
This is some conspiracy.
Everybody
theory shit.
Tweet at MacArthur Study Bible with your carob complaints.
Just hashtag carob is edible. Just if you could just tweet at them and they have no context for it, that would make me so happy.
Copyright 2006, Thomas Nelson Incorporated.
All right, Thomas Nelson.
But
get your carob shit together.
Let's give them some credit though. Let's not dox them on the internet. It is true that carob also is used frequently as livestock feed. Because unlike chocolate, it doesn't have caffeine, which is why you couldn't have it.
Or why we ate carob, not chocolate.
Right. Yeah.
That was definitely part of it. Yeah.
I was never told that was the reason why. That would have been,
I don't think. I was gonna say I don't think chocolate having caffeine was brought up a lot until we had dogs. Dogs was literally as soon as that was the first time it was ever mentioned. But anyway, sorry.
So, historically, the pods were used mainly for animal fodder, and then in times of famine and war, they formed a part of the human diet.
It's also suspected that the gourd that shaded our friend Jonah was actually a carob plant and a carob pod.
Whoa! Carob is all over this shit.
Yeah.
So there you go. Overnight carob pod gourd.
I think young Adam would agree that this should have stayed as livestock feed or like war and famine feed.
Maybe the younger brother just like also thought the carob was bullshit and not actually chocolate. And he's like, I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
I'd rather go back to my father and be a servant.
That does kind of like play into your hatred of this story. Makes more sense if he's just like a stuck up asshole.
I mean, I don't think that's in debate.
That's true. He is just an asshole.
Yeah.
They should call it the prodigal asshole.
They should 100% call it the prodigal asshole.
Well, should we wrap this shit up? All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for listening.
Alan and I just did the worst thing in a podcast, which was both answer with a nod.
Okay, Adam, you want to try that again?
Yeah. So should I wrap this shit up?
Yes, Adam.
Thank you.
Hold on.
No. Oh, all right. How about now?
Okay, yes, please
cool.
Now wrap it up.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us at KJVPod on Twitter and Instagram. Seriously, you should check out our Twitter feed. Nick is doing a fantastic job over there. Our photos on Instagram are fantastic too, but Nick is killing it, and we could use a little love over there. Please rate, review, whatever on iTunes, or don't. It's nice if you do, but really just tell a friend. And we want to thank Mascaras and Resurrection Records for the use of our theme song, Quixote, off the album El Moran. And like we always do, we're featuring a Resurrection artist. And this week is Corinne and the Cyans. So check that out at the end of the episode. You can find all of this stuff on our new and improved website, kingjamesvirgin.com. Nick, want to get us out of here?
Yeah.
Cool.
I want everybody to find and eat a carob pod. Until next week, goodbye.
Sonic Bazaar.